Hi, I'm Matthew Kelly, and welcome back to our discussion of slowing down to the speed of joy. Part 2 is about human flourishing. What does it take for a human being to flourish? Obviously, in part 1, we were wrestling with busy, and so I open up part 2 with a conversation about what is the opposite of busy? And is that what we are looking for? Is that what brings about human flourishing? We think about the opposite of busy. We're so disinterested in being anything other than busy that there isn't even a word for the opposite of busy in our common vernacular. This was a staggering discovery for me. I had never thought about it before. But language is a powerful tool. Words have an extraordinary impact on the way we think and behave individually and as a society. A thesaurus will tell you that the opposite of busy is unbusy. Unbusy. But I've never heard anyone use the word unbusy. Have you ever heard someone say unbusy? Say to someone, how are you? Unbusy. No, it may be the opposite of busy, and maybe the word prescribed as the opposite of busy, but nobody ever uses it. The opposite of busy is so unimportant and so undesirable that we haven't even assigned a word for it in the language we use every day. It's also significant that the antonyms of busy are largely derogatory. Language also provides a unique window into what a culture values. A radical cultural bias toward busy is displayed in its antonyms: idle, inactive, lazy, dormant, and passive. So obviously the opposite of busy is not what we're striving for. The opposite of busy is not the speed of joy. And obviously our culture, in its derogatory descriptions, you got the same situation with speed. You know, the opposite of fast is slow, and slow immediately has egregious derogatory meaning in our culture. If you are considered slow, you are considered to be ignorant, stupid, brainless, unintelligent, dense, dim-witted, or someone who takes a long time to understand things. That's what we're told. Slow is lethargic, sluggish, stagnant, lax, inert, uncomprehending. So nobody wants to be described as slow. We're not looking for the opposite of fast as our culture describes it. And so what is the speed of joy? The speed of joy is not the opposite of fast, and it isn't the opposite of busy, and it isn't one speed. I'll say that again. The speed of joy isn't one speed. We think to ourselves, well, there must be an ideal state between busy and idle. There must be a state that allows human beings to thrive, an optimum state for human beings, a state that best facilitates human flourishing. There is such a state, but it isn't found between busy and idle, and it isn't the opposite of fast or busy. The ideal state that most encourages human beings to flourish contains intense activity and idleness and everything in between. Think about that. The ideal state involves intense activity, idleness, doing nothing, relaxing, and everything in between. And so the speed of joy isn't one speed. There is an ideal speed for each activity in our day. And the speed of joy is doing an activity at the appropriate speed. Slowing down to the speed of joy isn't about removing things from our to-do list. It's about establishing and maintaining an internal disposition of calm joy. The speed of joy, slowing down to the speed of joy, is about establishing and maintaining an internal disposition of calm joy. And that's what we're seeking here. That is what we're seeking here. The speed of joy. And so, what do we come to discover? We discover that the speed of our lives is not aligned with our hopes, dreams, values, and priorities. It's a disturbing discovery. I got to tell you, when I work this out, and this is a disturbing one, and the next one, I'm telling you, just laid me out flat. But when you discover that the speed of your life is not aligned with your hopes, dreams, values, and priorities, you are actually lost. I was lost. I was lost. I was confused. I was disoriented when I discovered that. The joyless urgency that is dominating our culture leads us to realize that the speed and busyness we have adopted cannot be how life was intended to be lived. We look at the average modern life, we have to come to that conclusion. Have to come to the conclusion, this cannot be the way life was intended to be. And so slowing down to the speed of joy is an invitation to living life as it is intended to be. And then when we look at our lives and we see that our lives are out of whack with our hopes and dreams and our priorities and values, the question we have to arrive at is, okay, then there must be a better way. And what is that better way? So let's find out. What is that better way? I call it the great human mandate. Would it surprise you to discover that a great mandate has been placed upon your life? What I realized when I slowed down 6 years ago, was that a great mandate had been placed on my life. And the mandate that has been placed on my life is exactly the same mandate that has been placed on your life. And I'm telling you, this discovery laid me out flat. I'm telling you, like, if you want to get someone to read the book, just tell them to reach page 37 and 38 and 39. Just read 3 pages, 37, 38, 39. If they don't get it, then the book isn't for them right now. But this just laid me out flat. This just turned my life upside down. I was slowing down to the speed of joy. I was trying to unravel the insanity of my own busy life. And there was one realization that destroyed all my excuses and justifications. A great mandate has been placed on my life. That was the realization that created a moment of exceptional clarity. The same great mandate has been placed on your life. What is a mandate? A mandate is a directive issued by someone with due authority that commands, instructs, or commissions a person to carry out a specific task, responsibility, or duty. Mandate has been placed on our lives. What is that mandate? Love is the mandate of my God. In a single quiet moment, sitting in my office at home, looking across the field, I was confronted by these uncomfortable truths. The speed of my life was incongruent with love, and the busyness of my life was incompatible with love. What is the speed of love? What speed of life is most conducive to love and healthy relationships? I know I haven't spent enough of my life at that speed. You cannot hurry love. You can't multitask love. Love cannot be hacked. It can't be scheduled. It can't be achieved on a predetermined time frame. And the idea of loving someone efficiently is ludicrous. I can't have a conversation with my 14-year-old daughter. I can't just schedule that and say, okay, I'm going to schedule 15 minutes for this conversation with Isabel. That's lunacy, right? That conversation is going to take as long as that conversation takes. And if I try and force it into a schedule, what is most likely to happen? What's most likely to happen is that she speaks about the things that she least needs to speak about because she feels rushed, she feels under pressure, because I'm creating that. If I'm trying to force this conversation into like a scheduled 15 minutes, and she is least likely to talk about the things that she most needs to talk about. And so that's not love. Love cannot be rushed. It takes as long as it takes. Love says, I see you, I hear you, you are worthy, I am with you, I care, rest a while, you are safe here with me, you are worthy. This cannot be rushed. I cannot see you and hear you in a hurry. I cannot rush being with you or caring for you and then call it love. I cannot impatiently lead you to believe that you are safe. When we're moving too fast, we don't notice the little things that love notices. A hesitant smile, a discouraged heart, other people's needs, a deflated tone in her voice, a longing to be held, the way a child hovers around when he wants to talk to you. There are so many things you can only see when you slow down. There are so many things you can only see when you slow down. And those are the things that we're missing. Sometimes we pretend to be confused about what we should be doing with our busy lives, but at a foundational level, the answer is clear. The details may be fuzzy, but the mandate is clear. Love. Jesus was teaching one day in the synagogue when he was asked, which is the greatest of the commandments? The question was, of course, a trap. There were 613 Jewish commandments, and each had been extracted from the Old Testament. These laws were meant to protect people from breaking the 10 Commandments. But many Jewish people were so fixated on the laws that they lost sight of the central teaching of the Torah and the heart of God's message, which is, of course, love. It is easier to keep busy with the 613 and neglect God's great mandate to love. Jesus effortlessly avoids this trap and cuts through the complexity with the power of clarity and the genius of simplicity. He answers the question, and in answering the question, he perfectly summarizes the gospel. In answering the question, one question, Jesus perfectly gives us like a mini gospel, perfectly summarizes the gospel. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. In 40 words, Jesus gives us a guide to life. In 40 words, he gives us a mini gospel. In 40 words, he gives us an examination of conscience. In 40 words, he essentially says, if you are looking for something to measure your life by, use this. The mandate is clear. Love is the mandate. But not just any kind of love. Not a love that is open to interpretation. No. The mandate is clear. Wholehearted love is the mandate. Love with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Wholehearted love. Sitting in my office that morning, it was disturbingly clear that huge swaths of my life didn't measure up to those 40 words. It was disconcerting because I thought I had been dedicating my life to God. But it is easy to forget that Jesus did not say, "They will know you are Christians by the number of countries you visit to share the good news, or by how many people attend your talks, seminars, and retreats." Jesus did not say they will know you are Christian by how many books you write, or how many bestsellers you have, or how many millions of copies are sold. No, his prescription was clear. They will know you are Christians by your love. The uncomfortable truth is that there have been many times in my life when I have been unrecognizable by Jesus' criteria. There have been too many times when nobody would have known I was a Christian by my love, because it was obscured and diminished by the speed and busyness of my life. As modern Christians, we find ourselves in a conundrum when it comes to the speed and busyness that dominate our lives. The speed of our lives is unchristian. The busyness of our lives is unchristian. They prevent us from fulfilling the great human mandate to love wholeheartedly. Our faith is being completely undermined by the speed of our lives, the default speed and busyness of modern society, and the sheer busyness we have adopted for ourselves. The speed and the busyness of our lives is selfish, covetous, uncharitable, and faithless absurdity. Rather than conforming our lives to the teachings of Jesus, we are conforming our lives to the tyrants of modern secularism. And those three tyrants are urgent, busy, and hurry. Meanwhile, God's mandate is love. The speed of our lives is incompatible with love. The busyness of our lives is incompatible with love. This busyness is not of God. Our joyless urgency is not from God. We have brought this breathlessness upon ourselves, but we can choose a new path. We can choose a new path. We have embraced pathological busyness, rushing around, living lives of distraction, addicted to the urgent, perennially neglecting everything we claim is most important. Think about that. Perennially neglecting everything we claim is most important. Unable to be present to the moment because we are preoccupied with the busyness that needs to be attended to next. And now we come to one of my favorite lines in the book. Most people can't even commit to one screen at a time. So the concept of being fully present to anyone or anything is increasingly foreign. Think about that. Most people can't even commit to one screen at a time. It's a perfect analogy of the culture that we're living in. The speedy and busyness of our lives is in direct opposition to love. Here it is. Busy reduces our capacity to love. Busy is a destroyer of love. Busy robs us of so many opportunities to love and be loved. Busy dehumanizes people. And the result of that dehumanization is a reduced capacity to love. Busy kills love. Ruthlessly eliminate busy from your life, and you will discover an endless stream of opportunities to love. If love is the great mandate that has been placed upon our lives, why is our love so often absent or mediocre? The first step, need to slow down. There is a better way. The first step, we need to slow down. We need to do less. We need to slow down so we can discover the speed of joy. We need to do less so we can discover the speed of joy. And as we slow down and as we do less, we will begin to flourish. We will begin to experience this human flourishing, which is the goal of slowing down to the speed of joy. The goal of slowing down to the speed of joy isn't the opposite of busy. It isn't the opposite of fast. The goal of slowing down to the speed of joy is human flourishing. First step, slow down, do less, and allow the joy to reemerge in your life.